necessarily raw skills. We were talking before you came on about the Toronto Maple Leafs and how they're not a physical team, and it's not their natural inclination to be. Do you think it's possible for a team like the Leafs to, for the lack of a better word here, pretend? Would it be better for them to at least put it on, at least get in the guy's face, at least try to be something they're not? Or is it just impossible and not even worth the effort?
No, well, first of all, winning and doing what it takes to win is worth the effort every single time. Yeah. So by doing that, some players may get suspended by playing on the edge, and you have to take that as a team. For me, I need a few of my players with tattoos, maybe even a rap sheet, whatever that is, guys that are unpredictable, that can draw the other team or other players, and especially when you get to the playoffs, draw the elite players on the other team off their game and into the fight. And I'm a fan of Toronto. I wouldn't say I have been over, the last number of years, for them to become an elite team. I like their team, but they definitely need, in my opinion, certainly out of their division, they're going to need, performances that are out of character if they don't go out and make some trades to bring in, another big solid defenseman who's going to make it hard, like the Montreal Canadiens did to Toronto 2 years ago when they're in the playoffs, where it was difficult to get to the net. I think there's a few holes in Toronto when it gets to the playoffs. On a Tuesday night in the middle of the season, I mean, their skill can win and it can overwhelm teams. And, of course, you need goaltending, which they've had for the better part of the season. I'm a fan of Toronto. I really am. A year ago, I wouldn't have said that. But I definitely think I heard a rumor. I'm not sure if it's even been talked about up there, guys, but like a player like Ben Sherratt from Montreal, that's especially a guy who could step into the absence of Muzzin if he's out for the rest of the season, or hopefully it's just the regular season if that's the case, where you can get a player that comes in and can actually be there, and then you get a guy like Muzzin back. All of a sudden, you got a more difficult defense to play against. So, for me, I think there's still moves to be made, and I'm sure the brain trust in Toronto would. I hope they would recognize that, because everybody I talk to in the National Hockey League, and we all have very similar beliefs of Toronto. They can be great, but are they going to be? And that's the question. And until they are, there's always going to be a question.
No question. Leaf fans can be rest assured they're asking the Montreal Canadiens and other teams. I think it's the price that's an issue. They would take Ben Sherratt all day long, even on a rental, but I don't know if they're willing to pay the price. And you hope that those prices drop in the next little while. But, whether it's Ben Sherratt or anyone else that has a little bit more of a natural element for physical play, I am of the believer, and I'm going to ask you, Mayday, if you bring in a guy like that, it can be contagious. It can pull things out of you that you didn't necessarily have had, because there is strength in numbers when more guys are willing to do it.
Kyper, you couldn't say it better. It's so true, and the dynamics of a team can change. I mean, within a season, right? Teams get hot, teams get cold. And what is that? I mean, it's the same players. They show up. They've got the same skill set, but it's an attention to detail that really does matter. It's having guys with a purpose, at the arena that maybe ignite that fire within other players that, on certain games. But when you come down the stretch and you go into the playoffs, I think there's two things that I would say that bode well for Toronto. And I'm going to start by saying their division isn't easy, obviously. You got three of the best teams in the National Hockey League, and then whoever finishes first most likely is going to face Boston, right? And Boston's a heck of a team, and they've proven success in the playoffs. When I look at Toronto, I say failures, but their lack of success is a motivator. And their young core, look at Mitch Marner, what he's done over the last month. Unreal, right? First star. You got the best goal scorer in the game right now in Austin Matthews. I do like Nylander and Tavares on the second line. Their top six is dynamite. It really is. Bunting has been a pleasure to watch and follow. I just like the way he has filled that void of Zach Hyman. But imagine Toronto if they still had Zach Hyman as well.
Right.
That you can now all of a sudden your third line is now formidable. and you go down. So it's not. I wouldn't even pick on any of the players on the Toronto Maple Leafs roster. They're all capable. They're all quality. It's just a matter of where you're slotted in and where you play. I was fortunate enough, as Nick was, to win a Stanley Cup, and we had players that bounced around from the first line to the fourth line and sometimes didn't play in the playoffs. But every game that we played, or most of them, we only lost 5 to win the Stanley Cup. We had performances from every player. And because they were given the opportunity or placed in the right situation or right role, every guy actually brought what they could do. So I don't know if a leopard can change his spots, to answer your question, Justin.
Yeah.
About is it worth it to do something? I'll tell you what, winning with a group of friends and a team, and certainly an organization like the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'll tell you what, if
Take
I could
a couple
ever
punches
play
for
again,
that.
No, right? I literally, I mean this too, but I'd get beat. But I'd fight my mom to win another Stanley Cup. 100%.
I'd